Hello, hello, and welcome to another video. We are nearly at the end of 2022, which means that I am doing my January TBR, January 2023. Not quite sure how that's happened, but it has. So move on with your life, Gemma. So I'm going to talk about my TBR today. We do have some changes to the 4 buckets. If you're new, just bear with me. So I was editing my TBR and realised that I forgot to tell you how I did in last month's TBR. And so here I am in my big comfy hoodie blanket thing. I'm just going to roll with it. So last month the 4 buckets were what they were previously. So for a goal book I chose Incendiary by Cleave, and I DNF'd this after about 12 pages. But for the sake of the TBR, we are counting it as a tick because it will leave my TBR. More on that on my wrap up. Then for a book that was non-UK, non-US, I chose A Burning by Megha Majumdar. I did not get to that. And then for a new release, I chose The Boy and the Dog, and I did read that. And for a book in a series, I chose Golden Poppies by Laila Ibrahim, and I read that. So I read 3 out of 4, which means I completed my TBR. Priory of the Orange Tree still remains as the big book I chose for November and December. I am still reading it. I haven't finished it yet, but it's ongoing, so we also count that as complete. So altogether, not a bad effort for December. And so I will go through those changes, talk about the books, and then I am literally like joining in with all of the things in January because I've lost all self-control. I was really good in December. I didn't do any readathons, any book clubs apart from my own, or read-alongs apart from my own, and so I've clearly got some sort of withdrawal symptom from overcommitment, and January has just gone a bit mad. So let's start with the standard TBR, shall we? So towards the end of last year, I introduced a new system where I would just have 4 general buckets of things that I was trying to achieve through the year to help me sort of manipulate my TBR towards that. So I'm just going to change the buckets slightly as we go into 2023. So we will be keeping a goal book and we will be keeping a book in a series. But the other 2 buckets are going to be my Agatha and Alice project. So if you missed that video, I will link it below. But I'm doing a project of reading Alice from Alison and Giant Bookshelf's top 12 Poirot novels over the course of 2023. So that will feature within the buckets. And the other thing that I want to do in 2023 is Jolene from Bookworm Adventure Girls Read Across Canada Challenge. Sorry if I've got the name of that wrong, but it's basically reading from like different states around Canada, and she's got like prompts for each state. And I really want to join in with that as well. So that is going to feature in my key buckets also. So with that in mind, let's start with the goal book. So the book that I'm going to choose from my 2023 goals is A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. So this is in my 2023 TBR, which is BookTuber inspired. Again, I will link it below if you haven't seen it yet. And this was the one that was recommended by Scott at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and is also the book club pick for the Blind Eye Book Club, which is hosted by Kim at Middle of the Book March in January. So I thought, killing 2 birds with 1 stone, participating in a book club and reading one of my priority reads. So perfect. So that's the first book going on the TBR. Then the Alison Agatha book is The Death on the Nile for January. So that was the book that she ranked 12th in her favourite Poirot novels. I'm very excited to get to this one. It has several adaptations. I haven't seen any of them, so I do not know who the murderer is. All I know is that it is a murder mystery, and I'm really excited to give it a go. I really hope I like it because I've committed to 12 months of Agatha Christie, having never read her work. So for the Read Canada Challenge, I am going to be reading 5 Little Indians, and I'm really sorry I forgot to write down the name of the author, but I will put a picture of the book here. I don't really know anything about this, but what Jolene is doing is with each month she will do a recommendation video before that month starts, which gives you some ideas of authors that are from that region of Canada and books that fulfill the prompt, which is really, really helpful to me because I am really not well versed in Canadian literature. So I can search through, and I have had a little look for things, but it's just quite handy because she gives you like a list of like 15 books to choose from, and this one really stood out to me. It's also available on Scribd if you wanted to join in. It is available over there. So that is the book I am reading for this, and I think this is about the residential schools and 5 children who go to residential school in their life afterwards, I think, and that is an area of history that has obviously been talked about quite a lot in sort of the public sphere over the last couple of years, but it's still an area of history that I know not so much about, so I really think it will be an important book for me to pick up. And then for a book in a series, I'm going to go for Record of a Spaceborn Feud by Becky Chambers, which I'm reading with Sandy at Miss Reads a Lot, Sarah at Freshly Read Books, and Fraser at Springboard Thought. We've been reading sci-fi together for a while now, and this is the 3rd in the Wayfarer series, and we're very excited to get back into some cosy sci-fi. So that will be my series pick for January. So moving on to book clubs. So there is my own book club that I host with Alice and Jack at Spread Bookjoy and the FOMO book club, and over January and February we are reading Jamica In by Daphne du Maurier. So that is potentially getting picked up in January, though maybe more towards the end of January, early February, and it's also on my Past and Future Readathon TBR if you caught that the other day. Then there is the new book club from Ange at Ange's Book Chatter and Amy at BookTube with Amy, Fiction Addiction, and they are going to be reading Mayflies by, I really came unprepared to this video, Andrew someone or other. Again, cover will be here. But since they announced this, I mean, it had been sort of on my radar before, but since they announced this, I've seen like 3 positive reviews for it. So really, really excited to get to this one as well. And that's it for book clubs. Obviously, I already mentioned Kim's for A Tale for the time being. And then 2 read-alongs. So there is my own read-along, the Tudor Along, that I'm hosting with Emily from Novell Novels. The Tudor Along. Did I say Tudor Along twice? I may have said Tudor Along twice. And we are on the 5th book, Catherine Howard, The Tainted Queen, which is about Catherine Howard's life before, during her marriage to Henry VIII. Afterwards, she was pretty dead. So looking forward to getting to that one. And then the other read-along that I'm going to be joining in with is the Into the Library read-along, which again is hosted by Ange and Amy. So last year they read all of the Sookie Stackhouse series by Charlaine Harris, and I had massive FOMO because I didn't realise really that this was going on until about halfway through the year, at which point it was a bit late for me to pick up 6 books in a series that I'd never read before. And then as the year went on, I got more and more FOMO about the fact that I wasn't joining in with this. And then when they announced that they were going to start reading Charlaine Harris's murder mystery series, The Aurora Tea Gardens, in 2023, I was like, right, I'm not missing out this time. Not missing out. So I will be reading the first in that series, which I think is called Real Murders, in January. And these are quite short books as well. Though it does concern me slightly that I'm going to be doing this and the Agatha Christie challenge. Those are mysteries, and I generally don't read mysteries, so I'm probably going to read more mystery novels in 2023 than I've read in my entire life. So let's hope we like them, otherwise that's going to fail, isn't it? And then buddy reads, I've already talked about the Becky Chambers one with Sandy, Sarah and Fraser, but I'm also reading Elantris with Kristen from Enter the Book, which is a high fantasy standalone novel within the Cosmere by Brandon Sanderson. So excited to get to this. And I know Kristen has read other Brandon Sandersons before, so it'll be interesting to see, as a Sanderson newbie, whether our opinions on this book are the same, because I know she's read some of his more recent work. And then I'm also reading Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain with Alice. So yes, classic children's book. I think there are some problematic things in it just because of when it was written. So I will report back. But yeah, it was written in 1884, so I imagine it's not quite up to the levels of political correctness that we would expect today. So we will see, but it's been on my shelf for a very long time. I mean, this edition is from 1998, which makes sense. I'm pretty sure I picked this up at a school book fair when I was in primary school, so 1998 would fit with that. So it's time. And look, can you see how yellow those pages are? If I hold up like a book with white pages, it's quite yellow. So that's all of that, but there is one more thing, because if you will remember, I said that I was going to do one intimidating read every 2 months, and my pick for November and December was The Priory of the Orange Tree, which should be this one, which I'm still currently reading, but I am getting through it. I'm over halfway. Yes, it was that one. So this one can go, because I am reading that and I will finish it. So it's time to pick another one for January and February, because yeah, why not? We need more. So let's go for this one. And we've got, what does that say? Oh, The Count of Monte Cristo. I've already read that. So that one can go in the bin. Yeah, I already read that just off my own accord, not out of the jar. So let's pick a different one. What does that say? That says The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, which is epic fantasy, which sounds delightful because I want to read more fantasy. But holy moly, it's a big book, and it's like the first of a 13-book series. Is it 13 books? 15 books? It's quite a lot of books. So, okay, we're going to be giving The Eye of the World a go in January and February. And actually, that has just reminded me, as I pulled that out from the intimidating read thing, that there is one more book club that I am participating in January and February, and that is a new book club that's being hosted by Roisin at Roisin's Reading, and she has launched the Big Book Club. So she's doing one big book every 2 months, and the first book that she announced, the one for January and February, sounded so good I couldn't resist, and I went out and bought it. So you'll see this coming up in the Bookie Bank video also, and that is the Makioka Sisters by Tanizaki, and it is quite large, coming in at like 560 pages, and again, we're talking about some pretty dense text, but I mean, look how pretty the cover is. But this is about 4 sisters in Japan, sort of like upper class, who sort of fall from grace, I think, in the aftermath of World War II. I could be wrong there, but it just sounded really interesting. I really love Japanese history, and so yeah, I bought it and I'm going to participate, but this may not get read till February, but I thought I'd just mention it in case I do start it. And I think that's enough, don't you? I think we should stop. But yes, I'd love to know what you are reading. I will leave my past and future readathon TBR here in case you missed that earlier in the week, and I'll catch you all very soon with another one. Bye guys.